Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We want to thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. To God be the glory. Great things He has done for us. And we just pray. Can you believe it? We are in the month of November. Can you say November? But October.
No,
Uh, August,
August.
August. I don't know. I'm having tongue tied today, twisted. We're in the month of August. August. Oh, help me! I'm rushing the year of. Even though it is going so fast, so fast. I can't believe we're in August already. But to God be the glory. This evening, we are going to talk to the lovely sister Hyde, Angela Hyde, and we are here this evening, and I want to thank you. Last month we had a little hiccup,
Yeah.
on last month, but we thank you for the listening audience who are so faithful. The first Thursday of every month, I know some people are looking forward to this broadcast, and they wonder what's next. So this is the testimony broadcast. We testify about what God has done and what He is doing, and I just thank God for that. We believe, says they overcame Him by what? The blood and by the word of their what? Their testimony.
Testimony.
Oh, praise be to God. So I want to make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I don't want you to miss any of the broadcasts. I want to make sure that you get it. And so Angela, again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining us here on the broadcast this evening. She is no stranger to us, and so we want to go into the broadcast this evening. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in. And so as we dialogue this evening, Angela, I understand that over this summer, here, starting around, even before this summer, you
Hmm.
were a little bit busy, and so I want you to tell the listening audience a little bit about your kind of your profession, and what do you actually do?
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, listening audience, and those who will be chiming in later. Um, as already has been said, my name is Angela Hyde. I am um, the CEO for Nutrition in a Nutshell. And what I do, I provide educational information and assistance in helping individuals to have a quantity of life and a quality of life. If they want to lose weight, or if they're trying to recover from uh, heart surgeries or other illnesses in their life, then I can guide them with information about foods and nutrition that will help them.
Oh, wonderful. I think it was not last month.
Mhm.
Last month was July. I think it was in June. We had a guest on the program, and the guest was talking about that her mother went to a 8 week class,
Mhm.
nutrition class, and I understand that you were or kind of instrumental in that 8 week class. Can you tell us a little bit about that 8 week class?
Okay. Are we speaking of the diabetes
That is
reversal
correct. That is
class?
correct.
Okay, because I refer individuals to lots of things sometimes, but this diabetes reversal program was something that have been thought about and worked on because the area that we're currently in is an area that is highly saturated with diabetes, the problem of diabetes, and so in this county that we're in, we decided that we wanted to try to help individuals to manage or eliminate. Well, I guess not eliminate, or the word reverse would probably be better, to probably reverse the diabetes if it was possible to be able to happen. And so many people
Hmm.
were came out and they were interested in that, having to the opportunity to experience a change, have their numbers go down, have their weight change, as well as being able to reduce some of their medications.
Can you kind of elaborate to the listening audience, and how did this program work? How did you go about, bringing it forward to the audience?
Okay, so one of the things that's really that has always been a joy for me is food demonstrations. So food demonstrations were one of the components of the activity of reversing diabetes. Excuse me. So many times we give people information, but they need to know how. They need to see
Mm.
how it's done. So we had Dr. Moore to come in, and Dr. Moore, he came in and he provided uh, a physician's perspective on diabetes and information on what can be done to reverse diabetes type 2, because type 2 is the diabetes that's lifestyle manageable.
Mm.
Type 1, there are some things that could have taken place within the pancreas that prevents the body from producing the insulin that needs to be produced. And so with type 1, 9 times out of 10, it's because of the things that we're doing, like eating excessively and not managing what we're eating, too many fats, not enough exercise, or
You said that's type 1 or type 2?
that's two. That's
Oh,
type
type 2.
two.
Okay.
Type
Okay.
one usually has to do with the pancreas, something maybe that has happened to the pancreas in the
Mm.
body. So Dr. Moore, he came in and he gave that type of information because that was something that a lot of people didn't know,
Mm.
whether it was type one or type two. And then we talked about insulin resistant um, diabetes, which still kind of goes with type 2, but I guess it could possibly be type 1 as well. Because when the cell gets overpopulated, so to speak, with fats, so the insulin and the glucose that comes in the body, every time you eat something, it turns into a form of sugar called glucose.
Mm.
And the glucose is uptaken, it's taken into the cells, it's taken up into the cells when insulin and glucose come together. When the pancreas, when the too much glucose gets in the bloodstream, then a message is sent to the pancreas, hey, we need some insulin to, let's get this stuff moving, let's get this sugar where it needs to go, because our body runs on sugar, it's our
Mm.
fuel. So the insulin is sent out to catch up with the glucose and insulin hook up together and they walk up to the door of the cell. Insulin has the key, and the insulin puts the key in to the cell to try to open up the cell for the food to go in, the glucose to go in. But sometimes for insulin resistance, there's too much gunk and
Mm.
the key doesn't open. And that gunk is the excess fats that is buildup inside of the cell. So Dr. Moore, he was talking about all of that, and he was explaining um, how to reverse that, how to change that. And a lot of that came from modifying what we're eating, getting enough rest, drinking enough water, all of those different components. There are about 7 or 8 components that, could be used to
Mm,
help to reverse that.
wow.
So
Well,
that's what was going on.
so that was from.
And he did some exercises.
Wow, wow,
Hmm.
wow. So we're on today for those of you who are just joining. We are here talking to Miss Angela Hyde, and she as a program called Nutrition in a Nutshell. Nutrition in a Nutshell. And a few months ago, they did an 8 week class with her and, as she said, Dr. Moore. And so she is giving us a little tidbit or a little testimony on this program about this program. So Dr. Moore did the lecture. So what role did you play in the within Nutrition in a Nutshell?
Well, the main role I guess I played was the food demonstrations. As I said, a lot of times we can give directives, but many times individual need some kind of, sometimes they need hands on,
Mm,
sometimes they need to see it, they need a visual, they need that demonstration. So I was there to give the demonstration of what a plant-based, because we were emphasizing the whole food plant-based lifestyle, not just a diet. It's a lifestyle because you have to incorporate it
mm.
every day. And so in presenting that message to the people, we started presenting some recipes so that they can see what that looks like and taste what a whole food plant-based lifestyle would be like.
Wow, wow. If I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that you had live demonstration, live food that people could actually sample and take home, or just eat.
Exactly, exactly. So each night, which was once a week for 8 weeks, we had that class once a week for 8 weeks. And each night we had a food demonstration.
Mm,
It could have been black bean salsa with chips. And a black bean salsa is one of the, really simple things. But some people had not been introduced to black beans.
mm,
So it was new for them. It's a new source of protein
mm.
that was very flavorful, it was delicious to me. And according to what I was hearing in the audience, it was kind of good to them as well. And we
Oh,
just served that with some chips, I do believe.
wow, wow, wonderful. So, on an average, how many people did you serve each night?
Wow. Now that was one of the things that was really exciting for me, is on the average we would have between 25 and 40 people. I mean,
Mm,
that seems like 25 and 40 a big space, but the maximum amount of people that came through the doors each for the whole time, the maximum amount was over 56 people. So when we had graduation, and I know I can tell you about that later, but there
wow.
were 40 graduates. So each night we had between 25, 30, sometimes 40 people to come out
Mm,
each night. And so we were feeding those 25, 35, 40, whatever it was that came out.
mm.
We made sure that they all got a sample of whatever it was that we were making that evening. And I don't remember one recipe that they really did not enjoy. I can't recall. I know there was one. I just can't recall what it was. But one of the ones that they did enjoy beside the black bean salsa was the chickpea spread.
Chickpea spread.
Chickpea spread.
Okay. Now,
So
now,
it's like
now.
a mock tuna, which
Okay. You
mm,
got to break that down. So, how do you prepare that?
okay. So first of all, let's talk about chickpeas. Chickpeas, they have two names, and the other name that they have is garbanzo beans.
Okay.
It
I,
kind of rolls off garbanzo beans,
I, I
rolls off.
will.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway, and sometimes when you have those, you drain if you want to make yourself or drain a can of those, and then you're going to lightly pulse your food processor. So you're just going to put them in a food processor and zoop, 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 because you don't want them mush, mush. You just want them a little bit crunchy. You want
Mm,
them to have a little feel to them. If you pulse them too much, it'll become hummus.
mm,
That's how hummus is made with
mm,
chickpeas.
mm,
So we don't want hummus. We want a chickpea spread or mock tuna. So we did that. We chopped up some fresh celery and put that in there. Some green onions. We put that in there. We put some onion powder, garlic powder, a little nutritional yeast flakes, and we also added in, I do believe, some Bragg's aminos, and to finish it off, a little vegan mayonnaise, which with this
mm.
brand was Vegenaise.
Wow, wow.
Hmm.
You making someone mouth watery right about now. And I know
Oh,
I,
wait. And if you don't have a processor, it's okay. You can use your fork and just kind of break them up some, break
okay.
up the chickpeas some.
Wow, wow. We want to thank Miss Angela for being here with us this evening. I thank you, listening audience. We are talking to Miss Angela this afternoon for give her testimony of some of the things that has been taking place with nutrition in a nutshell. And nutrition in a nutshell is a business that is run by Angela, that she helps people to do have a quality of life. And so we are talking about an 8-week class that she was a part of, that will conduct. So, Miss Angela, I wanted to ask you, what was the overall reaction of the people that was coming to the class? So what was there any benefit? Because this is a testimony broadcast, and so we want, and we're gonna try to see probably in the near future to get some of the individuals who actually went through the class to come on this broadcast so that they can actually testify about
Hmm.
what some of the things that they benefit. But can you give us a picture or picture of what some of the people were experiencing?
Okay, some of their responses
Yeah.
as to what was happening with them. Every night when you came, first of all, we took your blood pressure
Mm,
and we also took your weight. And over that time period, people were very excited because as they made the changes to their food, to their exercise, to their rest, to their waters, spending time out in the fresh air, as they made those types of changes, and even learning how to trust in God,
mm,
when they made those type of changes, their blood pressure started to drop. And whereas it came in elevated and was elevated for maybe the first couple of weeks, but as they made those changes, their blood pressures leveled out to a good level, a better level. And also individuals over that time period, some had already started losing weight, but there were others who
mm,
experienced 5 to 7 pounds of weight loss because they were losing an average of about 2 pounds a week.
mm,
And that's a healthy loss, and
mm.
that's a sustainable loss. If you lose more than that, sometimes it tends to come back on you after a time. So they were experiencing that. Some individuals, when they went to, now this part right here,
Wow.
when they went to their doctors and they told their doctor, they brought all the paperwork that they had from class to show their doctor.
So you say paperwork. So
Oh
so yes.
yeah,
So
oh
so
yeah.
so this class, you had paperwork.
Yeah, this was serious business. If you
Wow.
were, and normally to go to a class like this on a for an 8 week period, it could cost you about $1,000 or so. To well, I wouldn't say 1,000, maybe about $500 to attend a class like this on a regular basis, because it was 8 weeks of the class,
Wow.
between 500 and $800. You would normally pay that. This class was free.
No, no, you didn't say
Yes,
free.
this class was free 99. Free 99. And people continue to come out every night every week rather, because they wanted to experience change. They wanted
Mm-hmm.
something better for themselves. They were tired of the aches and the pains. Some individuals that were having arthritis, that was improved because each time, every night that they came, there was physical activity.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I teach my exercise class on Mondays and Wednesdays and sometimes Fridays is that a body in motion stays in motion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to, and your doctor has given you the go ahead about getting physical activity, then go ahead and get that in. So a lot of people were doing that. And as a result, some of the pains were decreasing. They were also not eating as many in foods that would cause inflammation.
Mm.
So they were increasing a lot of their fruits and some of their vegetables. So that was also helping their arthritic pains. And just, so the weight loss, the decrease in A1C levels, the decrease in blood pressures, all of these things, like I said, the arthritic pains, and the fellowship. There were
Mm.
families that were coming together to support each other. So there was a whole lot going on there, and individuals were excited to be a part of it, and they still are staying connected.
Wow, wow, wonderful. We want to thank again Miss Angela Hyde for being on the program this evening. We are talking with her. She runs a business that's called Nutrition in a Nutshell. And Nutrition in a Nutshell is just like what it sounds, nutrition. Yeah, and she make it simple. She makes it simple. And so we are talking to her because recently this year has been a part of a 8-week class, that deals with reversing the diabetes explained. And so she's given some tips on some things that went on in the class. I wanted to ask, because I had an opportunity to be there at the class, and so I saw some of the individual. How did you? What was it that keep the people coming back? Because if you say you had a 40 of them towards the end, what kept them coming back?
Well, they were enjoying it first, and they were learning so much
Mm,
that they had not heard before. The class was called Diabetes Reversal Explained.
mm,
And so if you don't understand the diabetes initially,
mm.
why it is doing what it's doing to your body, then you won't understand how to better take steps to reverse it,
Okay.
to keep it from going any further. Some people were pre-diabetic and they reversed getting that close. And so, just a whole lot of things. They were enjoying the camaraderie, the fellowship. Like I said, families were coming out, and we were loving up on them as hard as we could because we were excited for them and um what they were trying to do for themselves and for their families. So, what kept them coming back? I believe it was the information, but I also believe it was the fellowship and the love that they experienced among each other as they watched each other make these changes. And Dr. Moore, he's a retired physician, and he made it really clear, the
Mm.
information. So,
Wow, one wonderful, wonderful. And off air, you were sharing with me that some of the physicians, the doctors were affirming the program.
oh
Can
yeah.
you?
So there was one where when we were speaking about the paperwork,
Okay.
we each night the individuals would come, we would record their numbers for them, their blood pressure numbers, their weight numbers. And then they also had a form to help them to keep track of their weekly goals.
Mm,
And they would make weekly goals and they'd keep track of those goals. And so this was some of the things, these were some of the paperworks that were taken to the doctor with the lady. And when the doctor saw what was being done, she told her patient, she said, whenever they do that again, tell everybody you know so that they can come
mm.
out. So the lady came back very excited after that because she got approval from her doctor even about the project.
Wow.
So
So even physicians that were still practicing, they were approving of the program. So it's a what you want to use the word is accredited. If you want to say credible, let me use that word,
yeah,
credible program
yeah,
that you all were doing, and so that was wonderful. I want to kind of shift gear
okay.
a little bit because I understand, and thank you again, listening audience. For those of you who are out there who are just tuning in, this is the first Thursday testimony broadcast with the Bible Patrolman, and here this evening I'm interviewing, I'm talking to Miss Angela Hyde. She's our guest this evening here on the program. She has a wonderful program, and we can give you some tidbits of how to get in touch with her at the end of the broadcast. But we talked about that she has been a part of an 8-week class dealing with individuals how to reverse diabetes, and as she explained, she said that the program was very successful. She worked alongside with a retired physician, Dr. Moore, who is in the area. And so, but I understand that you just do not just work with adults. You work also with children. This
Hmm.
and if I'm not wrong, I understand that even this past month you had a class that was named Kids in the Kitchen.
Yes.
Kids in the Kitchen. Oh, can you tell us about kids? Because I know some parents out there would like to say, "Oh, I would love Johnny to eat broccoli or spinach or something."
Yeah.
So tell us about Kids in the Kitchen.
Okay. So, kids in the kitchen. Well, let me, before I say that, I want to let the listeners know that the information was just that from the diabetes reversal explained class. It was not to take the place of any physician's recommendations that these our
Mm.
participants had, but it was educational information, and how they chose to use it was how they could experience having a better opportunity at a healthier life. So with the children, it was somewhat of the same. We had kids in the kitchen, and it was a hands-on cooking class for our children.
Hands on.
Hands on,
You had
hands
kids
on.
in the kitchen cooking.
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
goodness. I know
yes.
that was messy.
Well, not every time, because that was part of the training. Whatever you mess up, you clean up. You clean
Mm.
as you go. I said, clean as you go, and you'll have to clean no more.
Wow,
So,
wow.
so I would encourage them to clean as
You
they went
hear you
along.
hear you hear it from Miss Angela. Clean as you go. I think she's dropping some hint. Clean as you go.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. All right. So tell us about Kids in the Kitchen.
So, Kids in the Kitchen um, was a 1 week camp that started at 9 o'clock, and we finished at, I believe it was 1, from 9 to 1 o'clock each day. And the children would come in, we'd have registration, and then we would, the program, we'd talk about nutrition and the
Yeah.
importance of it, and different parts about our body and why we need food and where food comes from. And then we'd review our recipe.
Mm.
And when we review our recipe, talking about the ingredients that were in the recipe and what they did, then we would get our hands washed, and then we'd get started on the recipe. We had, I think we had 3 groups. Some days we'd have 4 groups, 4 groups of 3 or 4 groups of 4, depending on if some of the children at a certain point, they did have to. Some of them had to go to this place or the other, so they were not able to be a part of their
Mm.
group. But for the most part, we had, I think we had 16 children for the entire in the entire time, and one grandmother who came to be there with the child. And one child, like I said, she had to
Mm.
leave a little early, but nevertheless, each day we gave them a recipe. Each group was responsible for preparing their group's meal.
Mm.
So that's how we finished our day. We finished our day with our food that we prepared. It was the lunch
Mm.
for them, and then they cleaned up and they went home.
Wow, wow. So, how was the meal? How did you select a meal that you says, okay, I'm gonna prepare this meal today for the kids, or let them prepare? What was their
Okay.
reaction?
The idea behind the meal planning was to give them something nutritious, something that they could identify with, and something
Hmm.
that they could manage. Now, keep in mind, we did not have four stoves or four refrigerators like they do in some home ec kitchens, or some kitchens that you see on television, but we were able to use electric skillets, and we had miniature blenders and processors that the children were able to use to, and we also allowed them to have their own cutting boards, their knives and things of that nature. There's some children that had a little more hand-eye coordination than others, so more times than not those were the ones that would
Mm.
utilize the knife. But everybody had a role, everybody had a part to play in the group. No child was left behind.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. No child was left behind. I think I've heard that before. Oh, praise God. Thank you, Miss Angela, for being here. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking to Miss Angela Hi today with Nutrition in a Nutshell. She has a wealth of knowledge that she can help both adults and young children, who are able to learn and know about nutrition. I think there was one incident that you were saying something. I think it was sharing off here that a child, now going to the grocery store with their parents, and was telling the parents something about that we can't eat that or something based on one of your class.
Okay. So actually it was yeah. It was one of the children. Um uh, One of the children were taking time with their godmom,
Okay.
and the godmom was being instructed by the child on how to properly wash her hands.
Oh.
Yes. So every time that the godmother was not following the procedure,
Mm.
the small child would say, uh this is what you're supposed to do. Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Wow,
And
wow.
so it was a reminder. It was a reminder to that parent about proper hand washing. And I mean, so many of us, we think that we're washing our hands properly, but if you go into the restroom and put soap on your hands and then put your hands underneath the water, you've basically just washed all of the soap away while you're trying to rub
Mm.
and scrub. So we taught them that they should turn the water on, wet their hands thoroughly. Once the hands are wet, then you get a scrunch of soap, rub and scrub for 20 seconds. And usually singing happy birthday to me is a equivalent of about 20 seconds, one
Mm.
round of that.
Yeah.
So once they rub and scrub, their hands are not underneath the water. They're rubbing, scrubbing above the water thoroughly, and then placing the hands back under the water to properly rinse the hands, rinse the soap off. And then you grab the paper towel, dry the hands thoroughly, and then use that paper towel to turn the water off.
Wow.
And so she was trying to get her godmommy to follow those those procedures.
That sound like a chore. Whoa, whoa. And a process,
Mhm.
to end washing. But we want to thank Miss Angela for being a part of the first Thursday testimony broadcast, as she is testifying about some of the things that she is a part of. Miss Angela, if there's someone that is listening and they want some tip on nutrition, or just want to eat better or a better lifestyle, how do they get in contact with you?
All right. You can email me at the letter N, the letter A, nutshell Memphis at gmail.com. That's again N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, nutshell Memphis at gmail.com. And I will happily email you back, or Did you say? Oh, okay. I'll be more than happy to email you back and send you some information. Anybody, you can everybody can do something. So don't give up. If you're not where you want to be health wise, do not say, well, we all got to die of something. That's not the motto to make for yourself. But if inch by inch anybody can make some recoveries. You may not see them all at once, but you can make some changes. And so I'm here to help you if you need to know that.
Wow, thank you, Miss Angela, for being on the program this evening. This is the first Thursday testimony broadcast, and you want to make sure that you stay tuned because while we have several guests, that comes on a month after month, and you do not want to miss any of them. And so this evening was Miss Angela giving us a testimony of what took place in the 8-week class and also the kids in the kitchen. Oh, I tell you, I had a chance to peek my head inside there and I saw those kids. Those kids were having a ball, and to see them in the kitchen. Miss Angela, and one last thing, was this class, and I had to put in because I just remember, was this class just female? Normally when they talk about in the kitchen,
Oh,
it
no.
was female.
We had a team of young men in that class, and they were awesome. They were awesome. A team of brothers, actually, that worked, brothers and a cousin that worked together. And the cousin, I think he was 5 years old. 5 years old. I believe he was 5 years old. And there was a young lady there in another group. She was 6 years old. They were our youngest in the group. And I think our oldest was about 13 in the group. So you had a wide variety of skills in there. And one of the favorites, I think, at the end of the day, I know that they enjoyed I believe it was the ramen noodle skillet that they enjoyed most.
Yeah.
Where we beefed up the ramen noodles so that when I say beefed up, I'm talking about we put more vegetables in there, so that they could have a heartier and healthier experience with those
Wow,
noodles.
wow, wonderful. I had a chance to taste a little bit of those cookings, and I tell you, those kids did an awesome job. And so again, listening audience, if you would like to get in touch with Miss Angela, and can you give that information one more time again? N A nutshell Memphis
Memphis
at
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com.
I think I
No,
got
no,
it.
no. At Gmail.
At
It's
gmail.com.
Oh yeah, okay. That's right.
Oh, at gmail.com. So if you want to get in touch with Miss Angela, that's how she can help you. You don't have to be in her location, but she can dialogue with you over the phone. And so I want to thank you again for tuning in to the first Thursday testimony broadcast. And so we just testify of the goodness of what God is doing. And I tell you, there are a slew of things that God is doing.
Yes.
Is doing. And so we just want to say
It's the letter N,
N,
not IN.
not IN.
We're just correcting that.
Yes,
The
it's
letter
N.
N, the letter A, nutshell, Memphis at gmail.com.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Thank you, administrator.
Yes, so we have it there if you would like to get in touch with Miss Angela, and she will walk you down the path
Yes.
of better health. Again, we thank you for joining us this evening, and I pray that this broadcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you or hit that like button if you are on Facebook, because as you hit the subscribe button, you will not be missing any of the broadcasts, and you can go back and check out the rest of the ones that you have missed. Again, we say thank you to our guests
You're
this
welcome.
evening for being on the program, and we look forward to see you in the month of September. Oh, we thank you. May God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the month.